The Cycle Frontier is a game I really enjoy, even with all the, What? 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 Oh, yes, this is the most ready person I've ever seen. Come on. So today, I want to talk about the future of this game. These are just my ideas, so don't take them as the only true or right opinions. It's just what some kid on the internet thinks. With that said, let's go! First of all, content from the old cycle. Most of it is already in the game, but there are a few contracts and enemies I could see working in this new style of gameplay. From all the previous contracts, these four are not in the game right now. The Cycle Spike, the Zeal Crystals, drones, and the Mag Train. I think that two of these have a real possibility of coming back, and those are the Cycle Spike and the drones. The Zeal and the Mag Trains I'm not so sure about. The Zeal was an item that you could hold. It would give you points as you held it, but it would also reveal your location to the entire map. The entire point of the Zeal Crystal was to hold it as long as you can. But I can't really see how to reward holding an item. The Mag Train was a moving objective that you would have to control to gain points. Well, the biggest problem for the Mag Train are the monorails. In the first beta, they were a bit too overpowered, as you could just skip the entire jungle by running on them. Because of that, they had to be destroyed at some places, and well, when they're destroyed you can't have a train driving on them. The Cycle Spike is a interesting topic that I want to discuss later in the video once I talk about the Cycle Storm as a whole. Right now, let's focus on the drones. The drones, or the drone salvage, was an Osiris contract in which you would need to, well, salvage drones. Basically, you had this drone carrier with small drones lying around, and you had to defend them from wildlife and collect them to prevent them from being destroyed. Once you collected all of them, you had to defend the drone carrier as it powered up and left the planet. So, how could this work in the new game? Well, imagine you call down this drone hub. Once it drops down, you can activate it, and the drones would go around looking for a certain item. Once they reach that item, they would pick it up and deposit it back at the hub. When the drones are flying around, you will have to defend them from monsters and players. When a drone carrying an item is destroyed, the item can be picked up by either you or enemy players. These items can also be picked up from the hub once the drones deliver them. Once all drones are destroyed or the time runs out, you need to pick up the items from the drone hub, which then flies off back into the station. So far, every faction has an endgame activity. Furlough with the laser drill and ICA with the oil pumps. Each of these gives you a crafting item that you can use to craft a legendary weapon. What would the item for this contract be? Well, how about something called concentrated plasma? If you played the old cycle, you might see where I'm going with this. If not, let me introduce you to the Haze. The Haze is a weapon that launches these plasma bubbles. When you continue shooting into them, they grow and grow until they eventually explode. Now, this could be pretty overpowered in the context of a more tactical, slow-paced FPS, so it would definitely have to be tuned down a bit. Maybe it would have just one shot per magazine and the bubbles would be a bit smaller. Or, and this isn't my idea, the haze could be turned into grenades. Basically, a grenade that would create a haze field. Both of these would have to be crafted using the concentrated plasma item, which you would get by doing the drone contract. Again, Just my idea, I might be completely wrong here, and this might not even work. Right now, the cycle is kinda boring. I mean, sure, it looks and sounds amazing, but there's not really much to do. That could be changed with the cycle spike. Originally, a cycle spike was a area of the storm that was super strong, and you could collect these crystals in there. I mean, don't get me wrong, collecting crystals is cool, but I think we already have enough crystals in the game as it is. How about we turn the cycle spike into a mini boss battle? What I have in mind is the Howler, an enemy from the old game that might be coming back. It was a flying creature with a ton of health, a range attack, and the ability to power up and spawn other creatures. So, how would you defeat it? Well, you can just shoot it, or you can use the storm to your advantage. When you're running around, the lightning of the storm targets you as a player. How about running under the Howler and baiting it into getting hit by lightning? This would cause a large amount of damage and stun the Howler so it falls to the ground, where you and your team can deal even more damage. Now, just repeat it until it dies. Right now, around 90% of the missions require you to get an item and evac with it. This can get repetitive very fast. Something that could be potentially fun are the death drops, but in the way that they are right now, it feels much more like a chore. I think what could work and be actually fun is that every single death drop mission requires the items that are in the location that the death drop is in. For example, Swamp Camp would need Bright Caps, Water Weeds, or even Toxic Glands. Comms Tower would need radio equipment, circuit boards or cables, and Waterfall Labs would need Velticide, old medicine or medical supplies. Basically, items that you can get by exploring and looting the surrounding area. I think this would make the drops more fun and engaging, because you now need to interact with the world, explore and loot. Something I would love to see is more reasons for you to stay on the planet. Imagine unlocking content for everyone by playing the game. Let's say that the entire community would need to work together to unlock a dungeon. It could be by solving a riddle or by collecting explosives to clear up a caved-in mine. A different thing I would love to see are in-game crafting stations. For instance, Rek'Sai is an abandoned mining facility, so it makes sense that it has some old mining equipment. We could use this to turn nickel or alter nickel into some other materials that we could then use on the station to craft something. Basically, we are not just gathering items, but using the machinery left behind on the surface to craft and improve those items. But what do missions serve without good progression? Right now, you unlock a few guns, crafting recipes, and in-game activities. But how about unlocking an entire faction? Let's say you've been playing a lot and leveled every faction to level 20. You have become a well-known prospector on the station, and you can now work for a prestigious 4th faction that would have unique quests and weapons. But you don't really need that. By being level 20 in all 3 main factions, you already have tons of weapons at your disposal. What you need are privileges. This 4th faction has connections everywhere in the station, and they allow you access to a more premium experience. They can use the influence of the station to grant you certain privileges, not necessarily an advantage, but something that makes your life a tiny bit easier. Keep in mind, these are just ideas. Once you reach level 5 in the new faction, they allow you to use the evac ship to evac only your loot, while you can stay on the planet and continue adventuring. You will deposit the loot into the boxes in the middle of the ship, but remember, other players can access them too, so watch out for thieves. Again, this would have to be balanced, maybe you can do it just once per match. Once reaching level 10 with the new faction, you can now use the ships to bring down your dead teammates. Just go to an evac spot and instead of using it to evacuate, you can use the ship to fly your dead teammates back to you. Once you hit level 15, you can now choose your spawn point before the match. And once you hit level 20, you will gain the ability to bring a Leafman back to your quarters and have them as a pet. Now I know this is extremely overpowered, but please, Jaeger, we need Leafmen as pets. But what could this fourth faction be? What would be their name? And where at the station would we find them?